What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with data points, on Monday, we don't really have all that much, so it's going to be more of a technical driven day, so that's going to really benefit SoundHound. I'll go over technicals near the end of the video though, but Tuesday we have CPI, and throughout the week there's roughly about 6 different Fed speakers, so depending on what they state, as per usual, that could really move the market. Most likely a hot topic is going to be tariffs, and based on SoundHound's last earnings, they did say that tariffs indirectly are affecting them. So through their customers, of course, more in the automotive sector. So at the end of the day, that's going to be, again, something to kind of pay attention to, is how the EV sector is getting influenced by and kind of hit by the tariffs. So something, again, just to kind of think about indirectly. But nonetheless, Tuesday, CPI, and then on Thursday, we do have PPI, Friday, retail sales, and Michigan consumer sentiment. So a lot of inflationary data and as well consumer. So that obviously will really affect SoundHound. Aside from that, no real companies unveiling the earnings that's going to move the market. A lot of speculative stocks in nature, but nonetheless, nothing really crazy. A lot of the bigger names were the last couple of weeks. So this might be not really anything to pay attention to. One thing as well, I just wanted to see, I saw more and more posts on AMC. If you believe that AMC, let's say, hits a home run and has a squeeze, through that, shorts might start mitigating risk across the board. So I'm sure whoever is shorting AMC also is shorting many other stocks, such as SoundHound. So potentially, I guess if AMC does hit a home run earnings, then potentially that could really benefit SoundHound. That's if you believe in that type of thing. I myself, I don't really think that. I think broader market circumstances and macro data points, that would prompt shorts to start mitigating risk, but not one actual company, in my opinion. But again, I just felt like I wanted to bring that up, only because I see a lot of people kind of chattering about that. And then speaking of shorts going into this upcoming week, 34.72% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 126 million shares overall are being shorted. So anticipate them to be very, very active this upcoming week. DTC, on a side note, is 3.41 days. So that does kind of signal that they are rather overextended. That does also factor in just the average volume for SoundHound in comparison to how many shares are being shorted. So that kind of also signals the magnitude of a squeeze if potentially that does happen. But I do anticipate shorts to be very active this week, because even on Friday when SoundHound was going up like crazy, market was kind of FOMOing into it because of their earnings. You had shorts, despite that though, increasing 549,000 shares. That to me is not a sign of defeat. That is them kind of gauging the stock price and waiting for a appropriate time to pounce. So this is why I've been covering SoundHound for a very long time now, I think like a year and a half or something like that. And I generally know what shorts, kind of how their strategies are, what they tend to like to do. And by them increasing 549,000 shares, they aren't going to be admitting defeat. So they're going to be trying to hit SoundHound below some key kind of support levels, which I'll go over in a second, but just kind of anticipate a lot of volatility, moral of the story. But looking here at the calls, so the bulls are anticipating for it to be roughly around that $15 range for the end of this upcoming week. Bears are anticipating for it to be kind of between that $12.50 and $13. So definitely there is a lot more upside anticipated, with it closing at $13.55 on Friday. There is this right here. So this is all the open interest. So that means the 11,000 at 11, 8,000 at 11.50, 15,000 at 12, 8,000 at 12.50, and then 10,000 at 13 is all in the money, and actually the 5,000 at that 13.50 as well. So most likely you're going to see a very nice bump up going into next week, as market makers don't have a lot of volatile stocks such as SoundHound in their inventory, so they'll have to go to the open market to buy it. And there wasn't really any crazy transactions after hours on Friday. There was a 4.16 million, 1.7, so that most likely was market makers covering a little bit, but this definitely doesn't kind of meet that overall amount. So most likely you'll see a very nice push higher immediately come Monday, and so that should really help SoundHound. But With it closing, like I said, at 13.55, it is trading between these 2 points right now. So this R3 and this R2. 13.52 was going to be that key point that it really needed to close above on Friday, and luckily enough it did. So that's going to be a strong support. Shorts know that. Shorts will try to hit that hard and most likely fast as well. So first kind of couple minutes of the trading day, you're going to see a lot of volatility, but 13.52 is going to be that key point to really watch for. 12.66 is going to be the following one. 14.92 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. So again, kind of anticipate a lot of volatility because a lot of these are very wide gaps. So again, you're going to see a lot of kind of crazy swings. Aside from that, one thing that could really benefit SoundHound is new analyst ratings, and more specifically Daniel Ives, because what he tends to give for ratings, people follow, and people kind of, if he says jump, like the market says how high. It's kind of crazy, even though he does have a 49% success rating, which isn't all that great, but he does cover a lot of speculative stocks. And of course, some speculative stocks hit it, some don't. And so I think he's more better known for Tesla, Palantir from the very beginning, and SoundHound. So I think at the end of the day, he will be giving a rating between, most likely, I would estimate between like the $22, $23 range to $25. So that would be huge for the stock, and most likely will cause a whole new rush of attention, new analyst ratings, and of course, push the stock price higher. Going into this week though, the consensus of all the new ratings as well, and over the last 3 months, 1480 representing a 9.23% upside. So pretty good stuff as far as that. When it comes down to this right here on the actual chart, it did break above all the key pivotal moving averages that it was kind of struggling with on the Thursday. But aside from that, we also do have the super trend indicator, now very bullish. It didn't really last all that long. It lasted basically a week under the bearish, but nonetheless, that does mean that you will have algorithmic trading really working on your side to push SoundHound higher, as well as stochastic RSI kind of in the neutral category, so it's not really considered overbought nor oversold. So that could really stand to benefit it going into this upcoming week as well. So long story short, anticipate shorts to be fairly active, but a lot of this week it's going to be linked to the technicals, which in SoundHound's case is looking pretty a-okay. But just watch for that 13.52. That's what shorts will see as a target to try to slow and break SoundHound down. One thing as well that could come out maybe is more interviews, but I think there was like a good 3 or 4 interviews that was done, and one in fact was done before the earnings call. So I think that was probably the biggest green flag of them all, that they had a home run earnings. You don't really see that all too often as interviews before the conference call, but nonetheless, I do feel that it will close between this R3 and this R2. So not really seeing that $15 range just this week yet, but gradually, if it is able to stay within this range and more oriented towards this R3, then going into the following week, then this is where you could see easily this R3 to this R2, so maybe even that $16 to $18 range going into potentially the next little bit. So SoundHound's definitely making a name for itself, and their last earnings was absolutely phenomenal. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Let me know where you see it going. Throw some price predictions in the comments. Do you think it is going to pull back to, let's say, this R1 to this to this pivot, so 1126 to 1266, or do you think it's going to be kind of where I mentioned, kind of within this range? Where do you see things going? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.